The Persnickety Witch of Fiddyment Creek by Gaye Pollinger, Chapter 8. Pearl took Tom and Kathy into Pearl's gate through another disguised back entrance closer to the greenhouse. Even though Tom had lived in Fiddyment most of his life, he had no idea that this little hidden cemetery existed, much less Powwow Trust. It was obvious that the tornado hadn't even come to this part of town, but Pearl wanted to go into Powwow and pull Lucy's files so they could go over them later. The office of Powwow Trust was inside a nondescript greenhouse in the rear corner of the cemetery, and it appeared to be connected to a wooden shed. The entire building was made of glass and steel support beams. All the windows of the greenhouse were dirty, and the sun sifted in through the smudges. There were many beautiful hanging plants and flowers, and others lined up on shelves inside. A misting steam was in place, and in one corner was a mishmash of gardening tools. Everything thrived because of the humidity, and it gave off the feel and aroma of a tropical rainforest. If somebody happened by and peeked in the windows, they wouldn't even be curious. In the back was a doorway into the wooden shed, and it would have been assumed that that was more of the same. But that's where Powwow was located. There was even a 6-foot-tall wooden Indian guarding the doorway, and a sign over it that said, Powwow. Michael had hand-carved the life-size Indian statue, which was wearing a highly detailed leather-fringed shirt and pants, a red sash tied around its waist. The Indian also wore a carved and painted turquoise necklace, and his head was decorated with 2 feathers. 2 braids hung down his shoulder, and he wore moccasins. Kathy noticed him right away and asked Pearl if he had a name. "Oh, yes, he does. It's Chief Wampum," Pearl said. "Wampum," Tom remarked. He chuckled to himself. "Very clever, Persnick." He saw the puzzled look on Kathy's face and said, "It's an Indian word that means money," which was enough to satisfy the curiosity forming in her head. "Hey, let's take one of these hanging baskets home to Lucy. She could use a pick-me-up, Kathy. Do you see a plant you'd like for your bedroom?" Pearl asked as she unhooked a huge Boston fern. Kathy pointed to a small pot filled with purple flowers. "That's beautiful. It's called an African violet. I would have chose that plant myself." While they were gone, I bathed Jameson and tended to his scratches. I could tell that Chester hadn't enjoyed his sky ride very much, and the evidence was on Jameson's chest and back. There was one place on his forearm that looked like a teeny pebble was stuck, so I put a strip of tape on it and then ripped the tape off. Sure enough, the pebble stuck to the tape. "Wow, Mama, how'd you do that?" "Oh, just Mama knowledge," I told him. "Jameson, wait until we get the house all cleaned up. You must always wear shoes, all right? I wouldn't want you stepping on broken glass. How about coloring at the kitchen table while I tackle the kitchen?" "Okay," he agreed. By the time the game came back, I had managed to clean the kitchen of large debris, make a grocery list, and straighten Pearl's room. Several things in Pearl's room had fallen to the floor but didn't break. The magazines were easy to restack, and the clothes were easy to pick up from the closet floor. Her bed moved about 6 inches, and I shoved it back into place. Poor Chester was all tuckered out, and with one swift movement, he was on the sunny windowsill and stretched out for a cat nap. Jameson wandered in while I straightened up, and now he was napping on Pearl's bed. Kathy saw me first, and I put my index finger to my lips to tell her to speak softly, and then I joined them in the kitchen. Pearl put the kettle on to make tea, and I asked about the status of her house. "Oh, it's fine. Couldn't even tell a twister came through." "And Powwow?" "Oh, the same. Everything at Pearl's gate was fine, but we stopped into Powwow and have some files to show you later on," Pearl said. Tom came in carrying 2 boxes and the Boston fern. The lower box had files in it. The top one held a couple of plants. Oh, they're very nice," I commented. "This one's for you, my dear. Just something pretty for a sunny spot," said Pearl, and she held out the fern. "I think it would like the back porch," and Kathy personally selected the African violet for her room. "Yeah, and Mama, wait till you see Chief Wampum. He's neat," said Kathy. Tom came back into the kitchen and said that he'd called the insurance company and they would send an appraiser over to see what could be replaced and also check on structural damage. Mama, is it okay if I go upstairs and see my room? Kathy asked. Oh, sure. Just be careful. She took her African violet with her and came back down in a few minutes. Just some things fell off my dresser and bookcase, and I put them back up. Can we paint my room purple to match the violets? She asked. Sure. Ready for a change, are you? I said as I winked. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And remember, the Principal Grandma says, you'll never know what comes next until you turn the page.